Courage starts when obedience gets your next step, when fear and responsibility share the same room. You can love Jesus, lead with integrity, and still feel your chest tighten before a decision. You already know what Joshua 1:9 means. The real friction shows up when the verse has to survive your next meeting, your next message, your next tough call. Pressure does not usually arrive like a surprise. It arrives like a slow pileup of small demands until you realize you have been carrying it alone in your mind. Fear rarely comes in as fear. It slips in as overthinking. It hides in the need to keep everyone happy. It shows up as delay, dressed up like discernment. And once it settles in, it starts steering, not with shouting, but with a constant inner hum of what if. God does not invite you into courage as a vibe. He commands you into courage as an act of obedience. Joshua 1:9 puts your feet on the ground, not because you suddenly feel brave, but because God speaks with authority and stays with you in the moment you need Him. That means you do not have to wait for confidence to arrive before you act. You can choose the next right step that matches what God has already said. Presence over performance. In everyday life, one of the most exhausting ways to lead is to act like you must look unshakable to be faithful. That turns leadership into managing appearances. You start polishing the outside while your insides spin. You keep moving, but you stop breathing. Joshua 1:9 cuts through that. God does not ask you to perform strength. He tells you to practice it. He does not demand you feel fearless. He tells you to refuse fear and discouragement as directors of your decisions. Then He anchors the whole command in a promise that is not abstract. God will be with you wherever you go. That changes how everyday life feels. Not perfect, not painless, but supported. It means you can notice your anxiety without obeying it. You can admit you feel stretched without making that the story that rules the day. You can stop trying to muscle your way through and start walking with God through what is real. Early at your desk, the room still quiet. You can start the day in two ways. You can open the laptop and let urgency set the pace, or you can pause long enough to remember who is already present with you. Read Joshua 1:9 slowly. Then ask, what is the next step of obedience in front of me today? Write it down in plain words you can act on. The cash flow moment and the choice to lead without panic. Let us make this concrete. It is early morning at your desk. You log into the bank dashboard. The numbers load and your stomach drops. A payment that should have arrived did not. 2 invoices sit past due. Payroll is coming fast. A few expenses land this week whether you feel ready or not. In seconds, your mind starts sprinting ahead, trying to solve everything at once. Cash flow pressure is not just numbers. It is a moment that tests what you trust. This is where Joshua 1:9 becomes more than a verse you respect. Fear will push you toward grasping. It will tempt you to pressure people, make rash commitments, or trim integrity because you want relief. Discouragement will pull you toward withdrawal. It will whisper that you are failing, that your efforts do not matter, that you should stop hoping and just survive. God's way looks steadier. Courage does not mean you deny the account balance. Courage means you keep your hands clean and your head clear while you face what is true. God's presence does not remove your responsibility. It keeps you from turning responsibility into panic. So do the simple things first. Sit up straight, exhale. Say, Lord, you are here with me. Then choose one obedient step that matches Jesus. Tell the truth to the person who needs clarity. Send the invoice follow-up with respect, not shame. Review the expenses and cut what you can without breaking trust. Ask for wise counsel instead of spiraling in secret. Take action that is measured, honest, and calm. Obedience. Before confidence in the work you carry. A lot of leaders keep waiting to feel ready before they move. Joshua 1:9 does not give you that option. God commands strength and courage while the assignment still feels heavy. That is good news, because it means obedience can lead your emotions instead of your emotions leading your obedience. In work, obedience often looks like doing the unglamorous right thing. It looks like facing the numbers instead of avoiding them. It looks like telling a client, "We cannot keep doing it this way," and then offering a better path. It looks like refusing to sell what you would not recommend to your closest friend. It looks like protecting your team from chaos by making clear decisions and communicating them with respect. In leadership, obedience looks like consistency when you would rather disappear. It looks like telling the truth with grace when you would rather keep things comfortable. It looks like taking responsibility without self-punishment. It looks like correcting quickly when you drift, because you care more about alignment than pride. And in your inner world, obedience can be as simple as refusing to rehearse disaster stories. When you catch your mind writing a script of everything that could go wrong, stop and ask, what do I actually know is true right now? Then return to what God has said and take the next faithful step. The shared walk, where faith and business stop competing. Some leaders pray and then operate the rest of the day like God is not involved. They keep faith for private moments and treat business like a separate world with separate rules. That split eventually wears you down because it forces you to carry two lives. Joshua 1:9 invites a single life. Here is a navigation picture that can hold you. You do not always get a full map for the next season. You get a heading. God's word gives you direction. God's presence gives you steadiness. You check your bearings often, especially when stress tries to pull you off course. You make small course corrections before drift becomes distance. That means you lead differently. You do not let urgency hijack your tone. You do not let fear turn people into problems. You do not let discouragement shrink your vision to the size of your latest setback. You stay teachable. You stay honest. You keep moving in the direction of obedience, trusting that God will meet you in the places you cannot predict. Teach what you are living, not what you are pretending. This verse does not end with you feeling inspired. It ends with you being accompanied. When you lead with that reality, your presence changes the room. You listen better because you are not rushing to prove yourself. You speak more clearly because you are not trying to control reactions. You show more patience because you are not demanding instant outcomes to soothe your anxiety. And there is another emotional angle here that matters. Many faith-based leaders carry a quiet fear of letting people down, not just in business, but in their calling. You want to serve well. You want your work to help people. You want your leadership to reflect Jesus. When pressure hits, that good desire can twist into a heavy burden of, "I must not fail." Joshua 1:9 loosens that grip by reminding you that God's presence is not a reward for perfect leadership. It is the foundation under imperfect leaders who keep choosing obedience. So make today practical. Start at your early desk. Read Joshua 1:9 out loud. Write one sentence that names your next step of obedience in plain language. Take that step before the day gets away from you. Encourage one person you lead with a specific action you will take, not just kind words. Tonight, name one moment where you felt fear or discouragement and you chose a better direction. Then thank God for meeting you there. Take the next step you know is right, even if your feelings lag behind.